Chapter 4. Looking at the red rose in her hand, Darcy wondered what Hakeem would say if she told him about Brian's present. Of course the rose doesn't mean anything. It's just a friendly gift, Darcy assured herself. But would Hakeem feel the same way? A tinge of guilt crept into Darcy's mind. She figured Hakeem might be jealous if he knew about the flower, and she did not want to give him anything more to worry about, but the idea of hiding it from him seemed dishonest. What bothered her more was how much she enjoyed that Brian had given it to her. Darcy knew she could not tell Hakeem that. LaSalle returned from school several hours later. Darcy was playing with Kalina when she heard the door open. "Girl, if the first day was this hard, I don't know how I'm going to make it through the rest of the semester," LaSalle said wearily, her eyes focused on the rose on the table. "It's from Brian," Darcy explained. "He said it was a thank you from all of you." LaSalle's face twisted into an expression that Darcy could not read. Uncomfortable with the awkward silence, Darcy quickly changed the subject. "Kalina's been an angel," Darcy said. "Thanks a million, Darcy," LaSalle replied, her face becoming more relaxed. "I just don't know what I'd do without you." "Don't mention it," Darcy said. "So I'll see you the day after tomorrow." Walking out of the apartment, Darcy grabbed the rose and held it close to her chest. She wondered why LaSalle acted so strangely when she noticed the flower. At home, Darcy put the rose in a tall vase and placed it on her bedroom windowsill. Then she joined Dad and Jamie in the kitchen, where Dad was preparing dinner and Jamie was helping him. They were laughing together when Darcy entered. "You called that chopped green pepper?" Dad teased. "It looks more like mashed pepper." "Yeah, well, you left so many lumps in the mashed potatoes, we should call them lump potatoes," Jamie said, laughing. For a second, Darcy felt as if she had stepped back in time. Jamie and Dad's laughter reminded Darcy of the days before Dad left. Back then, family meals were sacred, and each Sunday Dad cooked something special he'd learned from his years working in restaurants. Vivid memories of the past swirled in the air with the scent of Dad's pork chops and red Cajun sauce. "Hey, baby," Dad smiled at Darcy. "I hope you brought an appetite with you. We got enough food here for an army, and Mom's working late tonight again." Dad's work schedule at the store gave him 2 days off in midweek. Since the week Jamie ran away months ago, he had made an effort to spend those days making meals for the family. It was as if he tried to make up for years of lost family dinners by cooking each week. "Well, I'm starved for some mashed peppers and lumpy potatoes," Darcy joked as she sat down at the kitchen table. She looked around and noticed that her grandmother was missing. "Where's Grandma?" she asked. "She's resting in her room," Dad said. "Grandma isn't feeling well today." "She's been in bed since I came home from school," Jamie added, exchanging a concerned glance with her father. A wave of sadness washed over Darcy. Recently, she noticed that her grandmother's health seemed to be declining. Darcy clung to the hope that Grandma would bounce back to her former self, but with each passing day, it seemed less and less likely. Dad and Jamie joined Darcy at the table. Before eating, Dad blessed the food and announced that Mom was considering taking a part-time position at the hospital. "Did she really say she would?" Darcy asked, surprised. "Well, she's thinking about it," Dad said. "She's thinking hard on it." "Isn't that great, Darce?" Jamie said. "Then Mama get to come home more and we can eat together just like we used to." Darcy nodded. Her mind raced with memories of how her mother had suffered after Dad left. Darcy wondered if it would be the same for her if Hakeem moved away. "Darcy, you okay?" Dad asked. "You seem like you're someplace else." No, Darcy smiled weakly. "I'm fine. Dinner looks great," she added, hoping to change the subject. She saw Dad eyeing her carefully, but he said nothing. After the dishes were done, Darcy mustered up the courage to dial Hakeem's number. She felt her heart pound as she pressed each of the digits. She did not know what she was going to say, but she had to speak to him. The phone rang twice before Hakeem's mother answered. "Hello," she said, her voice tense. "Hi," Darcy said. "May I speak to Hakeem, please?" "Just a minute." Hakeem's mother sighed as if she were relieved and annoyed at the same time. Darcy's hands trembled as she waited for him to pick up the phone. After several agonizing seconds, Hakeem's voice came through the other end. "Hello?" "Hakeem?" Darcy began in a shaky voice. "I'm sorry to bother you, but—" "Darcy, I can't talk right now," Hakeem said. "I'm sorry, but we're expecting a call from my uncle." "Is there any time we can talk?" Darcy asked, hating how desperate her voice sounded. Hakeem hesitated and then replied, "I'll call you tomorrow night, okay? I promise." "Okay," Darcy replied. "Thanks for understanding. Gotta go," Hakeem said and hung up the phone. Darcy stared at the phone for a while before hanging it up, her eyes wet with tears. On Saturday morning, Darcy woke up feeling depressed. Unable to reach Tara over the phone, she decided to stay home the entire day. Closing her bedroom door, she started to unpack the boxes that remained in her room from the previous week's move. For several hours, she put up posters, organized her closet, and arranged her tiny wooden desk. She even placed her one picture of Hakeem next to her bed, the way it had been in her old room. In one old box, she also discovered a tattered photo of her grandmother taken many years ago. The sight of Grandma so young and strong only added to Darcy's sorrow. At noon, the phone rang and Darcy answered it. "Hey girl, can you do me a favor?" a woman's voice asked. Immediately, Darcy knew it was LaSalle. Before Darcy had a chance to reply, LaSalle explained that she needed extra time to study at the local library. Reluctantly, Darcy agreed to watch the baby. "Thanks for coming by on such short notice," LaSalle said when Darcy arrived. A full backpack hung heavily from LaSalle's shoulder. "By the way, Brian's working until 6, so you don't have to worry about him bugging you," LaSalle added and paused thoughtfully. "You do have a boyfriend, right?" "Yeah," Darcy replied, surprised by the question. "Good," LaSalle sighed, as if what Darcy said had somehow calmed her. "So y'all been going together for a long time?" 6 months, Darcy said, wondering why LaSalle was so curious. "You go, girl," LaSalle exclaimed. "I'm happy you got someone special. You deserve it. Just be careful and make sure you protect yourself. You don't want to end up like I did, 17 and pregnant." "We never, we don't have anything to worry about," Darcy stammered, a bit surprised by LaSalle's frankness. "His family might be moving away in the next week or two. I'm not sure what's going to happen with us this summer." "Really?" LaSalle said. For an instant, Darcy thought LaSalle's face tensed up, but just as quickly the look on her face vanished. "Well, don't worry. If he's the right one, you'll see him again." LaSalle glanced at the clock on the wall as she spoke. "Well, I gotta get to the library. Bye, Darcy." LaSalle grabbed her keys and headed out the door. Darcy sat down in the small living room. She could not figure out why LaSalle suddenly seemed so interested in her personal life. Darcy wanted to believe that LaSalle was just being friendly, but her instinct told her that something else was going on. But what? And what about LaSalle's comment about Hakeem? Darcy wondered. If he's the right one, you'll see him again. The words were still running through Darcy's mind as she walked back to her house later that afternoon. When Darcy got home, she went to Grandma's room where Jamie was pulling the covers up for Grandma. "Hi, Darce," Jamie said. "Can you stay here with Grandma for a while? Dad and I want to do some shopping at the supermarket." "Sure, go ahead. I'm not going anywhere," Darcy answered glumly. After they left, she sat with Grandma, gazing out of the bedroom window as heavy gray clouds gathered overhead. Darcy hoped Hakeem would call. Each time the phone rang, Darcy rushed to answer it, thinking it was him. But instead, the calls were from Jamie's friends. Before long, Darcy heard Dad and Jamie return from the store. She went into the kitchen and found them both carrying large bags stuffed with groceries. "Dad bought all this healthy stuff, Darce," Jamie laughed. "Like he's training for the Olympics or something." They began sorting the food, putting canned vegetables in the cupboards, and the meats, fresh vegetables, and fruits into the refrigerator. "Hey," Dad said, "I'm trying to get down to fighting trim like I was in the Army."
I've lost almost 15 pounds since I've been back. I hope I can keep it off.
Darcy noticed Dad was watching her closely.
You all right, Darcy?
He asked. I'm fine, she replied, glancing at her father in his t-shirt and blue jeans. She could see that he had lost weight. He looked 10 years younger than he did when he first came back. Looking at him, Darcy remembered what Lyselle had said about seeing Hakeem again. If Dad could come back, Darcy hoped, maybe Hakeem might too.
You sure everything's okay?
He asked. Everything's fine, Dad. I just have lots of studying to do for exams, she said, and then retreated to her room. As she closed the bedroom door, she noticed the rose Brian had given her. It was now the size of a fist, its blood-red petals fully opened and blooming. Staring at the flower, Darcy waited for Hakeem's call. At 8 o'clock the phone rang, and she rushed to the kitchen to answer it. Hello? She asked, nervous to speak to Hakeem.
Darcy, it's Brian. Is it too late to call?
No, it's fine, she said, surprised to hear Brian's voice.
I hope you don't mind me calling you, he said. I got your phone number from my sister.
No, I don't mind, Darcy said. So what's up?
I wanted to know what you were doing tomorrow. I was thinking maybe we could get together sometime, so we can talk without me having to rush off.
Darcy's heart skipped a beat. That sounds nice, Brian, but I've got to study for final exams tomorrow, Darcy replied. Maybe we could do something when the school year ends and things settle down.
Sounds cool, Brian said calmly. Well, you know where to find me. I'll see you next time you babysit.
Darcy said goodbye and hung up. Returning to her bedroom, she imagined what it would be like to spend the afternoon with Brian. As much as she did not want to admit it, the idea of seeing him interested her. Feeling a pang of guilt, she forced the thought into the back of her mind and waited for Hakeem to call. But as the evening grew later and later, the phone did not ring. But he promised he would call, Darcy thought as she struggled to stay awake.